Well, good afternoon again. Just thought because it's Good Friday today and a wonderful day it is outside, I just thought I would make myself fitty a bit today on a special day like this. And I just want to say to stand outside last night and to listen to all the clapping and all the cheering for all our services, well, doctors, nurses, drivers, police, firemen, everybody else that are doing more than their most to keep us safe at these very, very difficult times. We know it's warm outside today, but hopefully there'll be a lot more warm days for all of us to enjoy. So I'm going to do two little stories today, and of course then I'll be back hopefully on Monday without the bow tie. This one's by the late Herbie Ling. Everything Richard Henry done day was wrong. First thing, when he come down in the morning, he upset the cat's milk, and when mother was going to scat on over his head, she struck her hand against the table and broke the cup father had left there after shaving. You must have got out the bed the wrong side, boy, she said. Can't do that, he replied, 'cause one side is up against the wall. To make matters worse, she caught him smoking. What would your father say if he saw you? She asked. He'd be some mez. I know he would, 'cause there is cigarettes. Like an old saying, it never rains but it pours. Father had just come down from upstairs and said Richard Henry had taken money out of his pocket. How dare you say that, says mother. 'Tis a awful thing to say about your own boy. Why, it might have been me. No, I'm sure about that, replied father, 'cause there was some money left. I only took half a crown. I lent you yesterday to pay boy Willie, cried Richard Henry. What's all this, asked mother. First I've heard anything about it. Well, 'tis like this here. Boy Willie, poor chap, asked me to lend him 5 shillings, but to only give him half a crown. Then, says he, I should owe on half a crown, and he would owe me one, and that would make it right. So to show him one, I was smarter than he was, I gave him the other half crown. To change the subject, father asked Richard Henry if he had done his own work before he went to school. Well, all except one question was the reply, and I can't do that. What is it? Asked father. I bet I know the answer. Richard said, what is untold wealth? Easy, says father. 'Tis something you haven't put down upon your income tax papers. Can't be right, says Richard Henry. Yesterday I put down he cut the tree down with a saw. Teacher crossed that out and wrote with a hatchet. Can't expect a woman to know, so I altered it to a dag. After school, Richard he come in wet to the skin. Mrs. James was there when he tumbled into the river and asked how he come to do that. He replied, I didn't come to do that, but to pick blackberries. Now off to bed you go, says mother, and mind you take your socks off. This here one's called Trura. I can mind the time I had a shiner. Pretty little piece she was. I took her over to Trura to see the lights. When we was leaving Druth, we had to go through a gate-long railway tunnel. So I said to she, if I'd known the tunnel was so long, I should have kissed thee. Oh, she replied, wasn't it you? I held her hand all the way till we got to Trura, and was walking down the street when we see the place with a notice up over the door. Dinner served 12 till 2, 2 shillings and 6pence. Comes on, says I, we can eat a rare bit in 2 hours. I found out afterwards that she was going with another chap, same time as me, but I was smarter than he, 'cause he married her. Many men marry for money, some for love, and most for a short time. A young girl wants a man with a future, and an old girl wants a future with a man. Talking about kissing, said mother, Mrs. Jack's got a new maid in, and last week she caught her husband kissing her. Of course, Mrs. Jack didn't mind, but thought she ought to tell the maid about it. "Oh, that's all right," says the maid. "I ain't running no risks." I says to myself, what is good enough for the missus is good enough for me. But I know she wouldn't be there long, 'cause Mrs. Jacks is always finding fault. Yesterday, she told the maid to dust out the front room. "Why, I could write my name on the sideboard," says Mrs. Jack. "That's nothing brag about," said the maid. "Most people can write nowadays. I read in the paper, give a girl an inch and she'll make a bathing suit out of 'em." Then he told me the old story about Jimmy Jinks, who found another man in the kitchen with his wife. We all told him 'twas his fault, 'cause he had no reason to come home an hour earlier than usual. "Here, father, what's a bigamist?" the boy asked. Father replied, "Someone who makes the same mistake twice." Well, thanks very much.